PG-13. This is G.I. Joe 2002, and for this year there's 37 figures, and I have 20 for this year. And we will start off with the Baroness. Now we all know the original Baroness, and I think she 84? But anyways, the new version here is the 2002 red version, and she did have many other versions. So yes, she is the 84 version. Should have come with a black backpack. So again, not a bad version. It actually looks like she has a little bit of a tan. So again, she does have a few more O-ring versions, which is the 97 version. And I don't know if there's any other ones for the later years, but I mean, I do have one of the other ones, but I couldn't find her for the video to show you, because those figures that they made were just junk. So anyways, now they did have a remake of Tomax and Exmont, and so for this year they did remake them, and I did have them, so I thought they were just doubles, so I got rid of two. But it doesn't matter, I'll just probably get them again anyway, so I'm gonna count them. So they look exactly the same as the other ones, and well, those also I think were they 86? No, they're 85. So again, it's really the same. The versions don't really vary too much, so I'm gonna say they're pretty much the same. Now you can see the red ones, they're a little bit different. Again, don't know how well they'll come in here, but you can see, I'll bring them a little closer. There you go. So again, you know, they have the Corsican Brothers powers. Now, they do have Vipers for this year, and I do have them. So they have, and I do have another one, there's a darker green. So we already did the all the versions of the Vipers. And for this year they have actually 3 Vipers. The Vipers are coming. The Vipers. And they look pretty awesome. I love the Vipers. You know, hint hint Hasbro, if you would have made the Vipers in a 2-pack with the Crimson Guard, or a 3-pack. So you can see this one's in green, and then we have one in purple, as well as one in red. And there's like a little bit of like, I don't know, type of camo on them. It's hard to see there, but it looks like dirt. And the original 86 Viper, just so you have a comparison. So the variations or comparisons, and there's plenty of different variations. So this year was packed with a few Vipers, which is pretty friggin' awesome. So again, Army Builders. Now this guy, you know him as the Rock Viper, but for this year, that's right, they call him the Skull Crusher, and not to be confused with the Rock Viper. So you can see how Hasbro always seems to be changing names. So again, that's what perplexes the video. And well, before we do that, we're going to, now this is the Cobra Fast Blaster Viper. So again, he uses some parts from the Heat Viper, and this is the version 2. So I do have a couple of those ones. Now Big Ben, there is 2 versions for that year, but I only seem to have the one. I thought I had the other one, but it turns out he might be a different guy altogether, or he might be a different version of Big Ben. So I'll have to check on that one. But you've seen the original Big Ben. Big Ben. So this version's pretty cool as well. And it has G.I. Joe on his leg. And then, well, Shipwreck we've seen in the other videos recently. But if it's the first time watching, we're going to have to put Shipwreck and Polly in. So, again, there's the Shipwreck. And there's the Shipwreck in his Navy SEAL diving suit. Pretty friggin' awesome. So, anyways, we're gonna slide that guy back there. Now, Surefire, not to be confused. We do confuse. Not to confuse him with Shockwave, who is Surefire, and the original Shockwave we showed you in the last video. So just so you're sure about Surefire, be sure about that. We've ensured that Surefire is the right Surefire. Now, there is a newer figure, and we didn't have him in the other video, but it is Mirage. He almost looks like a Battle Force guy. So I'm pretty sure he might have been. He's sporting some goggles. He looks like he's gonna play some racquetball. But he looks pretty cool. He's got that little headband. Again, you can have him as a Predator figure. The Predator. And again, for this year, the rock and roll thing is still the same. They carried that figure over. And just to show you, I like my custom better. The rock and roll head. And he isn't like the rock and roll we know. And again, they called that rock and roll Flint as well. So, my custom's better. He's a real jungle trooper. He even has a machete. See, I didn't understand why they didn't have the jungle troopers come with machetes. Now, this year, they do have this Alley Viper. And again, the comparison. And we do love our Alley Vipers. I've got a bunch of them. And this one has a lighter complexion. The other one has a dark complexion. So it is pretty awesome. And, oh, we almost skipped you, Daltone. You're just too plain. So we got the Daltone version. And his paint is a little different, as you can see. And he does have the American flag on the side of his arm. And there we go. So this version of Daltone is pretty fantastic looking. And, well, there is 37 O-rings for this year. So we're going to slide him back there. And, well, we're going to look at the Storm Shadow. Now there is the Storm Shadow for this year, the 2023, but this was a version of the Storm Shadow where his torso does not turn. So again, that's one of the gimmicks, and we looked at them because I did get extras when I got that lot I picked up. So that is a cool version. We're gonna slide Skull Crusher back there, and well, there is a Cobra Saboteur, all in red, and he's got a brown helmet, and he does have the Cobra insignia on his head, a brown camouflage, I guess. So that's pretty friggin' awesome. We get to throw the Vipers back there, and there's also Snake Eyes, and well, we have the we have the 85 Snake Eyes. Not to confuse it with the 98 version. Where is my 98 versions? I got a couple of them laying around. I had so many that I even parted ways with one for a collector who I know collects very nice figures. So I had a few very nice figures. Now you can see 85 version is always the best because of the head sculpt. That head sculpt made that version friggin' awesome. So again, this one here is one of my favorites, as well as the Cobra Saboteur Firefly. I always used to just call him Saboteur. Sounded better. The Saboteur is coming. So again, there's a lot of favorites for this year. I mean, this one still is a nice version of Snake Eyes, but the head sculpt is not as great as the 85. Nothing beats the 85. And the 84. There is a few other versions that compete with that one. So again, they don't do him wrong when they remake the Cobra Saboteur, because you can use them as other figures. And now, if we do have time, we're gonna go through all the figures for that year. Here is Lifeline, another version, version 3. He looks kind of shoddy. We're gonna just tone down that lighting. Now there is a Cobra Emperor Serpentor with black, so that looks pretty friggin' fantastic. Shipwreck we just seen. Now this guy here is a Shock Viper, but we know him as the Ice Cream Viper. This guy here is, I think, Sidetrack, and then we have Side Swipe, so don't confuse the two. Then we have, obviously, Xmont or Tomax, it doesn't matter. You decide. Now this is a dial tone, and his head sculpt looks a little different, so that's pretty cool. Now I don't count these kind of crappy ones. This is super crappy. So again, this is the Big Ben version. Didn't have that one. It's got the G.I.Joe on the side. Got this one, and we're just gonna, that doesn't look like an O-ring figure. So you can see it's kind of confusing that they have all these crappy figures in there. We're just gonna point out the O-rings. So I don't have this Alley Viper. This is an O-ring version, all in red, and they do have Cobra Slice for this year. And there's the Viper we got. I do have this guy, but again, I don't really care for those. Now this is another version that we do have, that we showed you. And for the O-rings, we're just going to scan through. We don't have the Headhunter, or Headmaster, whichever name you want to call him. Now this is a cool version of General Hawk, and that is a cartoon version, if you've watched it. So you can see, here he is, Mirage. So there's two versions. I don't even know, they don't even have the goggles on them, so they lost the goggles. Ha, we've got something that Yojo don't got. Now you can see Skull Crusher. There's the, again, this guy is the Shock Viper. See, you can see they changed his name instead of Ice Cream, and he looks pretty cool. So again, hopefully I counted them, because I tried to count, make sure I got all 37 O-rings that are in there. This is not an O-ring. This is Surefire, the O-ring. And we'll try to get through this before the video ends, hopefully. And there is the Rock and Roll. Again, dial tone. This is the Laser Viper. Did I get it right? Oh, so I'm a Fast Blast Viper, sorry. Yeah. And the Firefly, Roadblock, Snake Eyes, and we're running out of time. So hopefully, oh, there's another version of Undertow that is, oh no. So anyways, you can see there is one more version of Wetsuit, and we got one more version of Dusty, and you can see Baroness, Xmont, Cobra